NFL fans, welcome back to a brand new episode of the J All Day Sports Show. The playoffs are here, guys, and I am super excited in today's episode. We're going to do a bracket. From the wild card round to the Super Bowl, I'm going to go through each and every single game through the playoffs as I see it, what teams I think are going to win, and what teams are going to go home crying and packing up and going to play some golf, right? We're going to start with the AFC. Then we're going to work our way to the NFC and see who meets in February for the Super Bowl, guys. I'm really excited. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. This year, we finished the year 185-87, but oh boy, did we go on a run the last 9 weeks. 110-39 with my picks, guys. 74%. Crushing it. That's why you got to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, guys. Let's get into these bracket picks for this year's NFL playoffs. NFL fans, before we get started, if you could do me a huge favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, it really helps get this video into the YouTube algorithm. All right, guys, we're going to start with the AFC, led by the Kansas City Chiefs, who got that first round bye. I think it's going to be tough sledding for anyone going into Kansas City to beat them, but let's talk about these three wildcard games in the AFC. Very exciting games. We got the Texans and the Chargers. Probably my favorite game in the AFC this week. Ravens, Steelers, Bills, Broncos. Let's start with the Texans and the Chargers. The Texans have been the model of inconsistency this year. They haven't won more than 3 games in a row all year long, and that little baby stretch that they had where they won 3 games was against 2 dumpster fire teams. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. They do play better at home, though. But this offensive line, Tunsil is the most penalized offensive lineman in the NFL, and coincidentally, one of the highest paid. This offensive line has not been good all year long. Tons of pre-snap penalties. I feel like every drive, CJ Stroud is starting 1st and 15, 1st and 20, 2nd and 15. They're always behind the sticks, guys, and you cannot win playoff games, especially against a team like the Chargers who play really good defense. I'm going with the Chargers in this spot, guys. I really like what Harbaugh's doing. I like that Herbert, Ladd, McConkey connection. I think Bosa's going to be able to get past Tunsil and this offensive line to kind of disrupt what they're doing. Derwin James is going to lay the wood a little bit. And remember, the Texans are extremely banged up, guys. And they haven't been running the ball good at all the last 5 or 6 weeks. In the last, I think, 6 weeks, Joe Mixon has 1 game over 100 yards. Most of them are like 30, 40, 50 yards per game. They're really struggling running the football right now. I like the Chargers in this spot. I think Harbaugh gets a big road victory here, guys. So, next up, we got the Ravens and the Steelers. Playing in Baltimore. The Ravens, especially the second half of the year, the defense has been playing so much better. The first 9-10 weeks of the season, this defense was struggling to make stops. But they made some adjustments. Kyle Hamilton was lining up all over the formation. He was lining up in the slot. He was lining up at linebacker, lining up at safety. But since like week 11, they've been specifically using him at safety, and they've seen the dividends of doing that, right? I just like Lamar Jackson more than I like Russell Wilson. Pickens looked horrible last week. They don't have a lot of juice on offense. I just don't think they're going to be able to keep up with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. But it doesn't come with a little asterisk, guys. Lamar Jackson has just as many MVP awards as he does playoff wins. 2. Not a great number when you have almost more MVPs, potentially more MVPs, if he wins the MVP and loses this game to the Steelers, than he does playoff wins. He needs to win this game. It's at home. They played them 3 weeks ago and blew the brakes off the Steelers. I'm going with the Ravens in this spot, guys. Then we're going to go to Buffalo, where the Broncos take on the Buffalo Bills. I really like what Sean Payton and Bo Nix and that defense are doing, led by Pat Surtain, Cortland Sutton on the offensive side. I like Bo Nix. I liked him in college. People thought I was crazy when I was like, Bo Nix is going to be a legit NFL starter. And he proved me right so far this year. He's still a young guy in the NFL, but we'll see how it all plays out. But I think with good coaching, Bo Nix is going to be just fine. But they're running into a monster, and that monster is Josh Allen, guys. He's incredibly talented. He really protects the football, guys. Look at these stats. Lowest sack rate, 2.6%. Fourth lowest interception rate, 1.1%. And that's great for Josh Allen, who loves to sling the rock down the field, guys. Extremely, extremely impressive. And the fifth lowest fumble rate at 0.8%. He's doing everything you want a quarterback to do. He's extending plays with his legs. He's picking up first downs with his legs. He's scoring touchdowns. He's throwing touchdowns. He has been the MVP of the NFL this year, guys, in my opinion. So, the Buffalo Bills are going to win this game and take on the Ravens in the divisional round. So, let's move on to the second round. Chiefs, Chargers. I think this game is going to be a lot closer than people think, right? The Chiefs have struggled all year protecting Patrick Mahomes. Tooney, the guard, is now playing left tackle. That's kind of the situation they're in right now. But they're coming off of multiple weeks of rest. Chargers got to go to Kansas City. You know the weather's going to be cold as shit there. Especially the weather now in the Midwest. It's crazy, crazy cold. I like the Chiefs in this spot, guys. I really, really do. I just think they're the better football team right now. They're a little bit more experienced. They got more depth. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, I think, lights it up. I think it's going to be a close game, though. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I think it's going to come down to a field goal in the fourth quarter. Pat Mahomes coming down, needs 75 yards in 90 seconds. He goes down, bang, bang, bang. They kick the field goal, and they win the game and move on to the AFC Championship game. Now, who's going to be taking on the Chiefs in this AFC Championship game? To me, it's going to be the Buffalo Bills. Baltimore and Lamar Jackson come up a little bit short again. But this is going to be another amazing game. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, 1 and 1A for the MVP race. For me, this year, it's Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, then Saquon Barkley for MVP, in my opinion. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills, guys. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. Remember, they're playing in Buffalo. I'm a little concerned about the Zay Flowers injury. I just think the Buffalo Bills are a little more deep than the Ravens. But the Buffalo Bills defense, especially third down defense, has been not good this year at all. On the flip side of that, the Bills are also 8-0 at home. So 9-0 going into this game. Extremely, extremely impressive. The Bills defense has allowed the fourth highest third down conversion percentage at 43.8%. That's not going to get it done. If they allow Lamar Jackson to complete over 50% of his third downs in this game, they will lose and the Baltimore Ravens will move on. But I don't think that happens. I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. Now, we move on, ladies and gentlemen, to the AFC Championship game. And I think history repeats itself. Not from previous AFC Championship games, but from earlier this year. The only loss for the Chiefs, Buffalo Bills, man. Well, they lost 2 games. The game against Denver didn't really count. But the only real game they lost this year was to the Bills. The Buffalo Bills move on to the Super Bowl in New Orleans. I think they just match up really well fundamentally. Great D-line that's going to get after Patrick Mahomes. They're going to mix it up with Sean McDermott's defense. They're going to put pressure on Patrick Mahomes, force some turnovers, and get the W. Now, let's move on to the NFC. The Detroit Lions. Wow, what an impressive win over the Minnesota Vikings. Holy shitballs. I thought the Vikings were going to be competitive in that game, and I actually thought the Vikings were going to win. But boy, oh boy, was I wrong. Wow. The Detroit Lions, with Anzalone back, played a shitload better than they did the week before without him against the 49ers. And that offense is just ridiculous. The Vikings got a top 10 defense, and the Lions just absolutely destroyed them. Okay, we got 3 games in the wild card weekend. Rams, Vikings, Buccaneers, Commanders, Eagles, Packers. All right, let's talk about this Rams-Vikings game. For me, I'm going with the Vikings. The reason why I'm going with the Vikings is because the Rams offense, not last week because they didn't play their starters, but the previous 3 weeks, they haven't scored points at all. Let me pull up my notes real quick so I'm right with these numbers. 12, 19, and 13 points. That's the amount of points this offense scored the last 3 weeks before the finale where they didn't play their starters. struggling, not scoring over 20 points. They're playing a pretty good defense. I like the Vikings in this spot. I think Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson, Addison, and Hawkinson bounce back after that embarrassing loss to the Lions. I'm going with the Vikings. To move on, Buccaneers, Commanders. Man, oh man, oh man. Guys, I've been going back and forth on this game all week. Oh boy, where do we go? Tampa Bay or the Commanders? The thing that concerns me the most about Washington is that rush defense. Third worst in the NFL, by far and away the worst rush defense in the playoffs this year. And what do the Buccaneers really want to do? They want to establish the run with Bucky Irving and Rachaad White. Play action off of the run with Cade Otton in the middle of the field and deep with Mike Evans. I think it's a tough ask for Jaden Daniels to go on the road against a Todd Bowles defense and beat Baker Mayfield with an experienced playoff team. That's why I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And they are going to be taking on my Philadelphia Eagles. Let's go, Birds. All right. The reason why I like the Eagles in this spot, they're rested and they're healthy. Christian Watson, done for the year. That's a huge loss. That deep threat is a huge loss for the Packers. Jordan Love is not 100%. The Eagles' defense has been very, very, very good. Vic Fangio has completely turned around this defense. And then drafting Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean has really helped. And Jalen Carter is blossoming each and every week into a bona fide superstar. One of the best interior defensive linemen in the game. They're going to get after Jordan Love, who does tend to turn the ball over a lot. I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles to win this game pretty easily. I think by over 2 scores. I like the Eagles this time around versus the Green Bay Packers. Now, let's move on to the division round. Lions at the Vikings. The Lions are going to win again and dominate. I mean, they just had a picture-perfect game plan. But are the Vikings playing possum, guys? So many people on my chat have been like, I don't think the Vikings showed their whole playbook. That could very well be the situation. Or they just got their asses kicked. One or the other, right? But hopefully they left some wrinkles, because if not, they're going to get the shit kicked out of them. They got to go back to Detroit in a very, 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 very good game. I think it'll be closer than the first game. Them only scoring 9 points kind of blew my mind a little bit, but I'm going with the Lions for sure. Next up, Philadelphia Eagles, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A rematch from last year's playoffs. The Eagles were a totally different team. That defense was in shambles. They looked like shit. The Buccaneers kicked the dog shit out of the Eagles last year in the first round. But the Eagles get their revenge here. They're just a better football team, right? The Buccaneers aren't as deep. They're not playing as quality of defense as they have in years past. Chris Godwin being out is a huge loss for them. I think the Eagles are going to be able to contain the run. The linebacker play has been a lot better with Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean. I just like the Eagles in this spot. Now we move on to the NFC Championship game. As much as I want the Philadelphia Eagles to go and win, but they got to go on the road in Detroit to play the Lions that are playing unbelievably good. The Eagles very well could win this game, because that Lions defense kind of played over their head last week. Because if you look a week before, they looked like dog shit versus the 49ers. I know Anzalone's back. He's good, but he's not that kind of defense-altering player. He's not Aiden Hutchinson, right? Quality player, not Aiden Hutchinson, but I think I'm going to go with the Lions to beat the Philadelphia Eagles in a 28-27 type of game. Then we move on. Buffalo Bills, Detroit Lions. Who wins this game? Okay. I mentioned this earlier. I'm going with the Detroit Lions to win the Super Bowl, guys. The reason why, that third down defense, what is it? What did I say it was? 40-something%. Where is it? 43.8%. That's not going to get it done versus this Lions offense. The Lions are going to put up 30 points. Can the Buffalo Bills score 30 against the Lions? I think this is a 34-31 game. The Lions just get it done with the last-second field goal. Jared Goff and the Lions win the Super Bowl this year, guys. That's my picks. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on my bracket, and what are some differences in your bracket? I would love to know. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.